Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a new show that's recently been released on Disney Plus that I think was pretty good, and it actually surprised me with how good it was, and that show is Extraordinary. This video I'm going to talk about a little bit of background, like why I was kind of unsure about it going into it and what I really liked about it. The first part of this video will be spoiler free for those of you who haven't watched it, so I'll be kind of talking about what I enjoyed in a non-spoilery way so that I can try and encourage you to watch it because I thought it was really good, and then I'll delve into some more spoilery things and talk about some little theories and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So let's get into the background a little bit. So this show was created by Emma Moran, and this was her first ever show, which is just incredible that it's so good. So yeah, it's her first show. She has done some writing for television before, mainly on Have I Got News for You. So yeah, this was her first like proper show, like that's like all her own that she created. So yeah, as I said, pretty impressive that this is like so good right out of the gate, you know. And she actually completed it. She actually developed it while she was completing her master's in screenwriting. It's also Disney Plus's first, or one of the first, like British like originals on Disney Plus. So again, it's just really impressive that she's got such a great start into writing in TV. So yeah, fantastic. The show was released on the 25th of January 2023, so it is pretty new. Something that I thought was really impressive was that the second series was actually announced 2 days before the first season even aired. So I think that just goes to show how much confidence Disney Plus had in the show, and also just that would have been based on like critics' reception for people who got to see it like before like the general public. This gave me a lot of confidence because I don't know about you, but with all of the shows being cancelled after like a first series, I am at the moment quite unsure and nervous about starting new shows, just because I do get attached to them. I get attached to the characters, and it sucks when you really like a show and then it's cancelled. This has happened to loads of shows that I've watched recently, and it sucks. So knowing that I had a second season going into this, I was a little bit more confident, and yeah, I was a bit happier to kind of risk it a little bit, because even if we get 2 seasons, that's still good. It's nicer than just having one, because one season, everything's just being tested out. It's not developed properly. Not that it's not developed properly, but like there's more development to be had in later seasons. So the plot of the show. This show takes place in a world where everybody has a superpower. When they reach the age of 18, they get given a superpower or they develop a superpower. And this has been happening for the last like 10 years. So 10 years ago, people started developing these powers. So yeah, everybody over the 18, apart from Jen, who is the main character, and she's 25, she hasn't developed a power yet. And the series is about her kind of like trying to come to terms with the fact that she hasn't got a power, and also trying to develop her power, and also about the struggles of living in a world where everybody has a superpower, everybody has a different advantage. And yeah, I just think it's a really interesting concept, and one that I haven't really seen before, and yeah, I just really like it. Also, just wanted to mention a little bit about the title. I think the title is genius, being called Extraordinary, which is extraordinary, and it's about a character who is like the only normal person left. I just think it's a genius title. I do want to talk a little bit about why I was unsure going into this show, and why it kind of did like exceed my expectations a lot. So when I saw the advertising for this show, it was mainly just in like Instagram ads, mainly just picture form, and just Disney Plus superhero, quite like bright and colourful. My mind went to like teen superhero drama, like that's linked to like Marvel, Disney Plus. And to be completely honest, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the superhero things that are coming out at the moment. I might go and rewatch them all in a few years and really like them, but at the moment I'm suffering a lot from superhero fatigue. I think there's too much, and yeah, I just feel like we're definitely oversaturated a bit, and I just needed something different. So that's why I was a bit unsure. But then I saw like a clip from the show, and that was the interview clip, which happens pretty much at the very start of the first episode. And it's a brilliant clip. It's very funny, and I realised that this wasn't like not a serious drama, but you know, like it was a comedy, and that is what I was wanting. I want a comedy. I love a comedy. So the series is only 8 episodes long with only 30 minutes per episode. So again, very typical of your like British, Irish comedy shows that just aren't long enough. So yeah, it's very typical of what you would expect from a lot of like British and Irish comedy shows. So yeah, it's fantastic. You're not going to be disappointed. So a few of the non-spoilery things I liked about this show. Number one is the way that they mixed the humour and the superpowers together. I thought this was genius. It's such a good dynamic to have. So yeah, there was loads of superpowers that were either just funny in nature or had funny consequences like as a result of them. And yeah, that was just really funny. There was one character who can summon fish, but he can't command fish. So that I thought was funny. It's like a worse version of Aquaman. And yeah, that I really liked. There are loads of just funny and unfortunate situations that occur as a result of people's powers. So yeah, that I absolutely loved. Next thing was I really enjoyed the characters and the character development. The characters aren't good people. Let's just get that out straight away. Especially Jen, the lead character. That's like the point of her. She is selfish and I think takes it out on the world that she doesn't have power. And I think as well she takes it out on the world and other people and the fact that she doesn't have a power. And there's a lot of critique about her character, there is development, and the same goes for other characters. Some characters let you down, some characters impress you, and they all feel very realistic and people that I would imagine to come out of like a situation like this where everybody does have a superpower. So yeah, I thought it was just a really, really great mix of characters. I really liked that it was low stakes as well, because a lot of the superhero films and TV shows that we see, it's like someone develops a superpower and now they've got to save the world. Whereas this one, they play on like the mundane aspects of life and how superhero powers either like improve them or make them more tedious. And I think that's really, really great. I would love to see some more, some like higher stakes situations in future series just to mix it up a bit. But I really like how it's just a fact that this is common. Everybody has a superpower. This is what life is like when having a superpower isn't special, it's just normal, and I think that's a really, really great concept. I also really like that there is a little end credit scene at the end of every episode. It's only like 10 seconds into the credits, so you don't have to sit and watch the whole thing, but I think that's a really fun little like nod to Marvel films and series, so I really enjoyed that. It was a nice little surprise when it happened after the first episode, and I liked that it continued all the way through. So into the spoilery sections. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of go on what I said about the effects of people's powers, all the funny and unfortunate situations that arise from having a superpower. And I think this is something that I'm really glad that they talked about, because yeah, having a world where it's all perfect and everybody has a superpower is just not realistic. So I liked that they played on all the bad things that can happen if everybody has a superpower. So there's more serious ones and some less serious. I really liked that Jen's mum had the power to control technology, but didn't know a thing about technology, so she couldn't actually utilise her power properly. I also really liked Jen's boss, who looked like she was 12, which would be a very unfortunate power to have. And it's not really a power, it's just like, I don't know, an annoying thing that happens. And also Andy, Jen's sister, the like consequences of her super strength I thought were unfortunate but like kind of funny, and the fact that she did kind of deserve to be called out. I do hope their relationship is developed a bit more in the future, because like they both were wrong, and even though it was kind of satisfying to see Andy kind of get taken down a notch, it was like, oh, that's a bit far. And like, yeah, it would be nice to see if their relationship gets repaired in the future, even if it's not perfect. It'd just be nice to see a bit of development there. As an aside. And I also like the teacher that had super hearing in a school full of like rowdy teenagers. That's a great power. I love that. Very funny. So yeah, there's just so much great writing around the superpowers. And also the biggest consequence that we've seen from the show is the fact that the cat couldn't transform back into a man. I'm just going to refer to him as like the cat or the cat man, because I feel like saying his given name in the show will probably get this video restricted. But yeah, I think that was the biggest consequence. Somebody who is trapped in their shapeshifter form as a cat. One thing I will say about him is like, I'd be interested to see if he can shapeshift into anything else or whether it is just a cat. I think by the looks of it is probably just the cat, but it'll be interesting to see if there is anything else he can turn into in the future. But yeah, that I think as a whole plot line was really, really, really good. I enjoyed all of that. The cat man was probably one of my favourite characters in the show. I thought he was hilarious. I also thought that the little plot lines of people monetizing their powers or exploiting their powers or exploiting other people's powers was very, unfortunately, very realistic. I feel like a lot of people would be in a situation where they would want to monetize their powers or will be used for their powers in a way that they don't want to. So, for example, Gordon using his power to please people, monetizing that, but also the fact that he did feel exploited before when he didn't really feel like he had a choice of when he could use his power, like people taking advantage of him. I thought that was a really interesting concept to work with. And then him deciding to kind of take ownership of his power and use it and monetize it and take advantage of it. I thought that was, fantastic plot line. It's good to see kind of the morals of it introduced, of powers like that and of consent as well, in a completely different way of that I've seen consent being explored. But that I thought was a really, really strong plot line. And I think the biggest plot line to do with this is with Carrie, who has the power to speak to the dead. There are a couple of things that I really liked about her power. One was the way that she was able to talk or allow Jen to talk to her dad. I thought that was a beautiful plot line. I loved it. I just thought it was such a sweet plot line. But also her romance with Charles II, I thought that was hilarious. And the actress for this was just phenomenal. I loved how she was able to switch all the different characters. I know she wasn't doing the voice, but just how quickly and how well her mannerisms changed. I just thought it was amazing. I think, Carrie was probably my favourite character out of all of them. I just thought she was great. But also, I really liked how they explored how Carrie felt like she was a tool to be used by people rather than a person. The fact that people never wanted to speak to her, they just wanted to speak to the dead people that she could summon. And also how in her job that she's obviously worked so hard to getting into law, doing law at uni and then going working for a law firm, that is a very difficult thing to do, and then to have your only job being your power to talk to the dead, that must feel very difficult. So I thought that plot line was really, really strong, and I think it was just a really interesting way, instead of having superheroes being all fun and exciting, to have them be a bit more mundane, and how examining how superpowers would be exploited in the workplace. And stuff like that. I just thought it was a really, really good plotline. I loved it. Oh, and also Carrie, this is a bit of being exploited and also monetizing her power, but the idea of her using the power of dead people to talk to dead people and use their voice to release new music for old artists, that is something 100% people would exploit in real life. People are exploiting dead people, dead famous people already. This is 100% something that would happen if somebody had this power. I also want to mention Cash here. Cash was a character that I kind of liked throughout the series. I thought he was, again, quite realistic. There are 100% going to be people who will have a superpower and want to be a vigilante or be a superhero. So I liked that idea of his character, but oh my god, he infuriated me so much in the final episode. I did kind of feel bad for him for how pathetic he was, but I just thought this was horrible, just a complete using your power to manipulate somebody. I just thought was disgusting, and I really hope, I wouldn't mind a little redemption arc, but I do not want him and Carrie back together at all. I thought this was just absolutely horrible, using your power to turn back time to stop your girlfriend from breaking up with you and trying to trick her into thinking that you're improving instead of just improving and being a better person. I just hated it. I hated him so much in that scene. But I did like the vigilante stuff. As I said, it's something that I would think would be quite realistic, and think that would happen if people did have these powers. And I liked the little rivalry he had. And his power was pretty cool, just not when he was using it to manipulate his girlfriend. I would like to see this explored more. There's loads of different ways they could go with this. I think having the idea of I imagine that governments would try and crack down on people using certain powers, maybe certain powers would be outlawed, because again, like I said, I wouldn't put it past that happening, kind of a bit like Incredibles, like the Incredibles. But I think that was just a really good, I think there's loads of different things they could explore with that, and also make it very humorous as well. It doesn't have to be serious, but using the powers and the exploitation of powers. I also think it'd be cool to explore how society's opinion of powers change, as it goes on. I just think there's loads of different things they could explore with that. Bringing in what I said before about the characters, I thought all of the characters here were very realistic, and I thought their development was realistic as well. As somebody who is pretty much in the age group of these characters, having graduated uni and entering the workplace for the first time, professionally, I thought this was a really good portrayal of people in my age group, and all different types of people. So we've got Jen, who feels like everybody is succeeding and she's not, that everybody's into impressive things and she's being left behind, and the way she's kind of taking that out on the world and other people, I think that's very realistic. Also Carrie, as I mentioned before, being this high achiever and then going into a job where feels a bit underwhelming, and that she is not doing what she wants to do, not being used to her full potential, and I imagine her expectations have fallen a bit short as well. Kind of being excited that she makes people coffee and she's not always using her power when she could be doing something a lot more. Because she seems like such an intelligent person and such an ambitious person, and there's loads of better things that she could be doing rather than just being a vessel or a tool to speak to the undead. Speak to the dead, in fact. And then there's Cash, who is completely directionless and unmotivated, and searching for something that will kind of keep him from the reality of working and having to work to survive. There is just so much great stuff with the characters, with those ones. And then you've got your more super-y, powery ones. And also just the dating life of people in a big city. There's loads of other characters that are realistic as well, but I think I wanted to focus on the main three. I also like the Catman and him trying to find what his personality, trying to develop who he is as a person when he's completely lost all memory of who he was. I just thought all the characters are really great, even if they did disappoint me at times. And lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about Jen's power and if she will get a power in the future. I am kind of glad that she didn't get her power at the end of the first series. There was times where I thought she would, it would kind of be the final reveal that she got her power. But I am kind of glad that it didn't happen, because I would love to see more stuff to do with the clinic and how the clinic works and how the clinic will develop her power, if it does develop her power. I think there's loads of different ways that the series can go with. And I really like that we're not kind of stuck with being oh, Jen's developed her power already, season 2 is going to be about her using it. So I like that it's still going to be developing her power. And it might be a fact that she will never get her power in the future at all. And that will be something that they're continually working with and that she's continually battling with. Now, I do have a couple of theories. So my theory number 1 is that she has a power to stop or limit other people's powers. There are a few reasons why I think this. Number 1, I think is the main one, is at the end of the series, when she turned down Luke, his power, his ability to fly stopped. Now, this could be just she kind of crushed his confidence a bit. He's this very overconfident, a bit arrogant person, and she's kind of taken him down a notch, which has kind of left him a bit nervous maybe, or just a bit embarrassed, and that's why he can't fly. Or it could be that she's got this unknowing ability to take people's powers away or stop them from working, which I think would be really cool, to have somebody who is stuck without a power to have the power to take away other people's power. Just awesome. I kind of hope as well, jumping onto that her power could be that she could steal other people's powers and use it for herself. That would be just an awesome power. Another reason why I think this is because the Catman turned back into a human after meeting Jen. After Jen let him into her home, he was able to turn back from a cat to a human. Those are the two main reasons why I think that. I think it'd be a really interesting power to develop in the next series. I just think it's a really cool power. It's kind of having a power but also not having a power, which I think would fit into the show very well. Another possibility, I think, is that her power is something that hasn't been tested, hasn't needed to be tested yet. Something like the power to never die, because in order to realise you have that power, you have to be killed. However, my main problem with this is because I do think it's a little bit too similar to Misfits. It is kind of copying that a little bit. But I think if there's anything to do that I'm just not thinking of, that's a power that literally hasn't been tested, like maybe power, like, I don't know, to breathe underwater. Like, has she ever tested that? So it's something like that obviously they may test in like the clinic. Like, they may just like submerge her in water and be like, right, let's see if you make it out. So stuff like that, which I'd be really, I just can't wait to see the clinic kind of experimenting on her, because I think they are going to bring in morals and ethics and stuff with that as well, which would be really interesting. But yeah, that is, I think, pretty much everything I wanted to talk about to do with Extraordinary. I thought this was a fantastic show. I am so glad I watched it, because yeah, as I said, I was so, in my head, I'd immediately brushed it off as like another Marvel Disney superhero TV show, and I'm just not interested in that at the moment. So I'm so glad I actually looked into it a little bit and decided to give it a go, because yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I binged it all in like 2 days. I could have done it in one, but it was one of those things where I just wanted to like prolong it a bit because it's so good. So yeah, I strongly recommend, if you haven't seen it, that you do go and watch it, because yeah, it's amazing, and I cannot wait for the second series, which I hope is soon. And yeah, the entire cast was amazing, the plot was amazing, the writing was great. Yeah, highly recommend watching it. If you like this video, then please leave it a like, it's really appreciated, and comment down below your thoughts on Extraordinary if you've seen it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with TV, and I'll have some videos out for you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!